friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hello, Levi.
Hi, Jen. How's it going?
It's warm today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jen's covered in bananas.
Correct.
Cool. Moving on, no context. So today we are continuing with the patch 2.4 main scenario quest. We will be playing through the quest in Flagrante Delicto.
Yeah.
Which Jen informs me is a pun.
The saying is in Flagrante Delicto. Yeah, so... Or maybe it is delicto, but that's the Latin word that means in the very act of committing a misdeed. So... There you go.
According to my Google search, in Flagrante Delicto is the first result.
All right. Where did I get derelicto?
I don't know. Derelicto.
It's from fucking...
Zoolander. Yeah. Look at that, Jen. Same wavelength finally on a media reference.
Something you've seen, which is amazing.
Anyway, moving on. What happened last time, Jen?
Okay. So we did Snowcloak and then a little bit of story after? Is that it?
We did story before and story after Snowcloak.
So, okay, that was the one where...
We are picking up after our Dawn Trail break, by the way.
Yeah.
It's been a long time IRL for us.
Yeah, almost 3 weeks.
We're with Emmerich beforehand, and the caravan gets attacked, and we're like, oh shit.
Right. So then we follow a dude into Janathan Pass. There's some exchange there. We go to run to Snowcloak to alert the people stationed there that there's some evil afoot and to watch out. And there was a little bit of danger afoot, but that was taken care of by Ida and Papalimo randomly. And then
Snowcloak.
Okay, right. Because then it was Alphino was like, let's just barge in, and Papalimo was like, no, that's a bad idea. So it's us and a few of our adventurer friends. We go into Snowcloak to trace Iceheart. We see her, we meet her, she talks to us, and she's like, I'm trying to end this endless war between man and dragon, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do it. And she leaves via this crusty old aetheryte, which we cannot follow her through yet. And we go back and tell everybody what happened. So now we've got to figure out, okay, do we scan the tunnels of Snowcloak to find her? Do we try to figure out how to connect the aetheryte to wherever it is that she went? We're going to go with the latter choice. Obviously, we don't have time because the summoning is imminent. I think at some point we had overheard them discussing meeting at the observatorium.
We follow the Crystal Braves who are searching for the heretics. And we find that the whole group's been split up across the entire zone for some reason. They do a terrible job sticking together. So we finally catch up to one very eager Lalafell who gets ambushed by heretics, but we intervene. And then they're like, hey guys, they're heading for the observatorium because they're trying to bail from the area. So we head there and we capture a merchant and a heretic. And that's when Yugiri and Alphino and Ilbert all show up as well. Because they were hunting the same guys for Ivy-related reasons, not because of the Iceheart connection. So somehow Ivy and Iceheart are intertwined, like maybe the Garleans are trying to supply the heretics so they keep the Ishgardians busy. We don't know, but there's some common thread there. And we're about to get a report from Ilbert.
Okay.
Recap over.
Yep. Thank you.
We go now to the Ilbert report.
So we're still at the observatorium, and we're waiting for Captain Ilbert to be done with his quote-unquote interviews. So we're talking to Alphino where we're waiting, and he tells us that there is nothing new on the Shiva front, but they were able to determine the chain of information in the Ivy Circle regarding the ambushed caravan.
This is learned from the merchant that we just captured last time.
Correct. There was a flame stationed at Revenant's Toll keeping track of all the shipments coming in, including those from House Fortin, and it was as simple as him selling that information to the merchant. So during the course of this investigation, the Ivy is kind of sensing the walls closing in, so they're desperate to cover their tracks at this point. So they enacted some administrative ploy that's only available to very high ups in the organization. So obviously that narrows down our suspects even more. And it's also clear that this person had established themselves within the Flames from its inception, since ever.
Right. There's a further kind of narrowing down process too, in that only certain Flames are supposed to be aware of this investigation. So we need to find a high-ranking Immortal Flame member who is in Raubon's inner circle, who he would have shared this investigation with.
I mean, this is like less than a handful of people.
Yeah. Ilberd goes on to expand on what Jen said earlier. He says that of all the grand companies, the Immortal Flames was the most hard up for members at its inception when they refounded the grand company before the last calamity. They had to turn to pretty much anyone they could get to sign up, sell swords, plus all of Uldah's disparate mercenary groups, because everyone who does security is on a payroll. There's no like official guard beside the Sultan Sworn. So even the city guards are a private company. Point being that the Immortal Flames are dirty AF. So people of ill repute could easily have slipped in during its founding when they're trying to get anyone and everyone who could swing a sword or do any other function that they needed.
And this is different from the other city-states because the other city-states already had like established forces with like a hierarchy and background checks and a, you know, kind of a general unified sense of loyalty and a moral compass. Whereas Uldah is just like, they may have had the brass blades, but everybody's fucking corrupt as hell. And so the landscape was just ripe for this sort of infiltration. So yeah, anyway, so, you know, Alfino's just like, well, I think this is probably what was going on. And that's absolutely what was going on. So currently, the Doman spies are tailing the high-ranking Flames officials, you know, the fewer than the handful, under suspicion of being the Ivy, and Alfino wants reports on any shipment disruptions. You know, with the summoning looming, he's got to be on top of that shit.
Yeah, well, Alfino, he says, good work, keep on keeping on with the Ivy stuff, but tell me about them shipments, you know.
Well, this is Alfino.
All available
like,
hands,
yep.
Monitor these shipments. The heretics are bound to seize more supplies, and I want to stop that summoning. He's got laser focus on this one issue only, the Shiva issue.
Terrified of this summoning.
Ilberd now reminds Alfino that it's time.
So there is a meeting. This is an all-hands-on-deck meeting of the Alliance leadership. And Alfino, as the commander of the Crystal Braves, has been summoned, and he wants us to go with him, since we're, you know, who we are.
But don't worry, Jen. The antecedent has agreed to our coming.
Oh, okay,
so
good.
Minfilia said it's okay, Jen,
Whew.
so we can play.
I was like, but what will Minfilia say? No.
This is a very weird thing they're adding in the past couple patches.
Yeah.
That apparently Minfilia is our supervisor now.
Yeah. Like, you can't do anything without Minfilia's approval. But, I mean, she was always the one being like, pray return, pray return, pray return. So maybe she's like, I don't have control anymore. Probably. I mean, she's not that kind of person, but still.
Sure, but also
she's got to be like pulling strings.
We fuck off to do, you know, random shit 95% of the time. So we don't have to get Minfilia to sign our class, our job quest permits.
If the commander of the Crystal Braves wants us to show up at this meeting, we're going to show up at this meeting. So
anyway, we head for the Lotus stand in Gridania. And we get there and we see the usual suspects among Eorzea's leadership. I don't think that Nanamo is here, but Raubon is to represent Uldah. And Khan Isena gets right down to business. She announces that the Garlean War of Succession has ended.
Yeah, shit. That happened a lot faster than we all hoped.
Alfino is shocked. He's
like,
shocked.
Who is this person?
Well, Jen, good thing we have a voiced over cutscene to describe the situation. So this, in my opinion, is very welcome to really shed more light.
We don't know. We have no idea what's going on behind the Iron Curtain.
Exactly. So for people who are not from 1.0, who are just following the main story and so on, they have little details as to the Garleans, except for whatever they've encountered through the handful of main story quests that actually have to do with them at the end of ARR mainly. So we finally get an insight now from the game directly about what are Garlean politics like, what's going on there, why is there a war of succession, what's going on. The answer is all coming from Khan Isena. So we're going to see a scene here where there are various shots, essentially, of the new emperor being crowned in Garlemald, while Connie Senna just describes a bunch of stuff about Garlemald. First off, she recaps that Garlemald's rise is due to the genius of Solus Zos Galvus, but he did not rule alone. There are several distinguished members of the royal household who had a hand in Garlemald's ascension, and a number of these people think they might have a stake in the leadership of the empire. The reason why there's ambiguity in the first place is that the eldest son of the late emperor, who would have inherited the throne, also passed away before his father did. The eldest passed away. There was no other named successor. The actual emperor died. So now the question is, who rules?
So this is between... So the options are between the uncle or the grandson of the emperor.
It's the grandson of the emperor or the grandson's uncle, not the emperor's uncle.
Oh, okay. I was like, that'd be a really old guy.
Yes. I'm assuming it's some relation by marriage or something. Otherwise, it'd be like the emperor's son. These are the two strongest claims. There are others, but they're not detailed here. It's just these two guys. And apparently this is where the bulk of the conflict that has been happening has been between said uncle and said grandson. But ultimately, the grandson, the one with the strongest military record, the one with the highest rank in the actual Garlean military, he has come out ahead. And the grandson, Varys Ye Galvus.
Is it Ye?
Y-A-E is what I have.
I have Varys Galvus. Yeah, it's Varys Galvus.
I don't have my encyclopedia handy right now, but Ye is the honorific assigned to Varys before he ascended. And then he becomes Zos, Zos Galvus after his ascension. Anyway, yeah, so High Legatus Varys Gay Galvus, soon to be Zos Galvus.
Did you say Varys Gay Galvus?
I said yay.
Oh, okay, I heard gay. You don't know.
Okay, we don't know it's true. That said, though, this person has claimed the throne. Varys has the throne now. That's the important part.
So while Connie-san is talking, we're getting a little bit of a cutscene. So, like, in the castle or wherever they live, and we see Varys, and this is a very horrifying looking man, and he is standing next to the casket of the, I'm assuming it's the former emperor.
Yeah. His granddad.
And he spits on it and walks away. And, you know, it's a very typical bad guy sort of scene.
Yeah, Varys is huge, and he has long white hair, very kind of broad features. His face looks both kind of narrow and broad at the same time.
It's the jowls.
I think it's just big. He's also looks grizzled, not with like a beard, but he's got like scars or something going on there. He is very young, actually, apparently, but he looks super old. He's like an anti-Final Fantasy XIV character
right?
who looks older than he is. And also he has huge fucking shoulder pads, like huge pauldrons. He's like a World of Warcraft-ass pauldron character.
Yeah, I think the Garleans really enjoy that shit.
Yep.
But then it'll move from the shoulders to the hips for some reason.
So now he's going to approach a pedestal after spitting upon his grandfather. And on this pedestal, there is a black helm trimmed with gold. Varys dons the helmet. The scene cuts forward a bit to him approaching what I assume is like the Empire's throne in this giant hall that's draped with all these Garlean banners. There's a huge assembly of soldiers in front. Varys approaches the throne. He turns around, swooping his cape, and all the soldiers salute in unison.
It's amazing. All right, guys. So when I do the furl of my cape, that's when you salute, because that couldn't possibly be an official trigger of a salute, you know, in like military dress, sort of like. Anyway, whatever. It's flair.
You don't
it's
know
panache.
their protocols, Jen.
I don't, but it's weird. Anyway, so now it's only a matter of when the hostilities will renew, and it's going to be really fucking soon.
Well, Khan E says that because of his troubled succession, he will require time to cement his power. Just because he has a throne doesn't mean that all of the opposing factions have fallen in line yet.
Territories and such, sure. So he's going to have to make some shows of strength.
Since the success of Operation Archon, the remnants of the 14th Legion and the forces occupying Alamigo have done naught but fortify their positions. But you can be sure they'll be ready to march on us again, if their Emperor gives the word.
When, not if. They say this Varus was so set upon Eorzean annexation that he spoke out against the Meteor Project.
Plainly, the new Emperor's intentions are of great concern to us all. I propose that we set aside the Cartano dispute for the present, and discuss what measures the Alliance might take to prepare for a resumption of hostilities with Garlemald.
And meanwhile, the Imperial remnants near the Alliance's territories, such as those who are in the local castrums plus in Alamigo, they have done nothing but fortify their positions during this War of Succession. And we can be sure they'll be ready to march again once the Emperor commands it. Further, he was such a proponent of conquering Eorzea, of annexing it, that apparently Varys opposed the Meteor Project.
What's the implication of that?
The Meteor Project was there to essentially destroy Eorzea. It was not a tool of conquest.
That's what I thought. I'm like, I will have nothing to lord over if it's all gone.
Pretty much, yes.
Well, yeah, that's because Nail was fanatical.
Yes.
And disturbed.
We'll find more about that later on, but yes, it's a very interesting timeline overall, which there's more to uncover.
So, with all of that, Connie wonders if maybe now the Ishgardians might feel it would be a good time to join the Alliance.
On the side, Alphino is being sassy to us, the Warrior of Light. He remarks to us that we should be grateful, at least, that Ishgard finally acknowledged the inevitability of Imperial attack. And who knows, they may even do something about it. But for now, though, he's concerned that any efforts the Alliance undertakes against the Empire will make their way back to the Garleans' ears through the Ivy. Until we figure out who this person is, our efforts have an asterisk on them, essentially. Every plan we come up with might make its way back to the Imperials and be foiled in advance. Now the scene ends and Alphino complains to us some more outside the Lotus Stand.
He says that he understands that the Alliance is basically just kind of a name. It's a name only. And the peoples of the various city-states are still very wary and judgmental of one another. You know, describing the variety of stereotypes in play.
Yep.
You know, the Limsons are pirates and scurvy dogs, and the Gridanians are tree-hugging motherfucker xenophobes, and Ul'dah is a bunch of corrupt-ass, money-grubbing, just...
I think that the Limsa stereotype is the most far from the mark, because Limsa has a lot of people in it who are not the scurvy pirate types. It's actually a very diverse bunch of people in Limsa, including, but not limited to, pirates. I think that from our interactions with Gridania and Uldans, we do get the, quote, hermits who talk to trees and the swindlers who worship coin in a lot bigger proportion than we get pirates, like pirate-ass pirates in Limsa.
Yeah. I mean, when you start in Limsa, you get a lot of... everybody you deal with is basically like, yeah, so when Admiral Merlvib outlawed piracy 10 years ago and made us all get real jobs, it's been real hard. Like, literally everybody was like, yeah, I used to pirate, and now I got a farm. I used to pirate, now I got a merchant. And so it's like, they all were kind of in that industry.
Yeah, sure, but that was 10 years ago, and now they're doing better. Anyway, we get another Frontlines reference to Jin, which is your favorite, I know.
Yeah.
Alphino says that one could argue the conflict at Cartano is a necessary evil. Each nation has its own warmongering faction that advocates for the acquisition of Omega. In order to placate them, we present them something resembling warfare, and thereby curb their appetite for full-scale conflict.
That's one way to justify it, I guess.
Yeah.
Makes no sense, but we gotta say why this makes any sense. Well, we got 3 factions dicking around the Cartano Flats, like play fighting or whatever. Anyway, enjoy your PvP.
Thanks, Jin, I will.
I know you do. So many people do.
But
it's fun. It's great. It's fine. But trying to justify it from this perspective just is always silly to me.
We have news though, Jen. Captain Ilberd has shortened his list of suspects. The most likely candidate has come to Gridania.
Yeah. We're going to meet Ilberd at the Adder's Nest. And he confirms. They have unmasked the Ivy. It is none other than Raubon's second in command, Aline Royer, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know. Somebody says it at some point, but I totally forgot. Rail, maybe?
Flame Marshal Aline Royer.
This is how to pronounce. Of course, this is going to be like a fucking made-up ass name, as they do. Yeah. Roy. It's you got to start at the back of the throat with the R, so Rye. We'll just say Rye. Aline Rye. She was a mercenary of some renown, a skilled lancer, and an Ishgardian. And she is the highest ranking foreigner in the Flames. So the Monetarists...
Barring Raubon.
Thank you. So the Monetarists typically took issue with foreigners in the company, and they frequently exercised their right to veto for candidates that were not native to Ul'dah or Thanalan, especially with Ishgardians because they're Ishgardians. But when she was, candidate, they were like, no, she's fine.
Yeah.
So,
and
suspicious.
During Ilbert's explanation, we see Rye, Flame Marshal Rye.
Yeah, so she's hanging out by the Aetheryte. So we got kind of vague eyeballs on her.
She's maybe 30 feet away from us, walking around town. She looks very strange. She's an Elzen with light pink hair and round glasses. Does not feel whatsoever like a Flame Marshal. But, looks can be deceiving, of course.
Yeah.
As the camera's following her around as she's walking around town, she looks over at us, standing by the Adder's Nest, talking about her, and we duck down behind a rock. Us and also Ilberd hide behind a rock.
So dumb.
And we see the Gردanians walking around behind us, going about their business while we're hunkering down behind this rock.
We're in the middle of hella spy ops here. And we're just ducking behind boulders.
I mean,
in the public.
This is more obvious than just standing there. She knows we're here because of the meeting. It's not sus to be there.
And there are we're silly. We're just silly.
This is a ridiculous segment right here. Because again, in the background, we got townspeople walking around behind us, and I'm sure they're thinking we're absolutely ridiculous.
And okay, so what is this Crystal Brave doing? What is happening? Her presence here is especially problematic because with Raubon at the meeting, it is up to her to stay at the Hall of the Flames and manage shit in his absence. So right now he has a dozen Braves digging through the Flames records for proof of her treachery, but, what he would like to do is follow her and catch her in the act of treason. And so what he's done is he's placed Braves at every means of egress in Gridania. New, old, whatever. And we are going to help him kind of tail her and keep eyeballs. So we tail Rye to the Carline Canopy and follow her in. And Ephemi?
Yeah, Ephemi. This is a Brave, a Crystal Brave, who is stationed inside the Carline Canopy. So we follow Rye inside, and we can't find her, so we find Ephemi inside.
Ephemi, she's down at the airstrip landing.
Airship, yes.
Landing. So she's downstairs, and I'm like, oh god, she didn't get on an airship, did she? And she's like, no, she never came down.
And Ephemi goes, hello, how are you? Nice to see you today, in very
Thank you for
loud...
the social call.
Yes.
No, she didn't come in here. We haven't seen any sign of her. Anyway, I gotta get back to work. We're so dumb. So we go back to Ilberd, and we're like, you know what? I think we fucking lost her. Ilberd's like, yeah, I didn't see her leave either. Shit.
He curses. He's forgotten about the roost.
The roost! Oh, the roost! And just then, some peddler guy walks up and he's like, sir, would you like some of my Muntai tonic, which enhances male virility? And Ilberd's very nice about it. He's
to
like,
embolden our vigor, if you know what I mean.
Well, correct. Wink, wink. Ilberd is like, no, thank you. He's very nice. And he notices the man's necklace and he's like, oh, the shinobi wear those necklaces. And the guy's like, yeah, we saw Riley Gridania via the West Shore.
Everyone in this scene is being way too cool for school. So much that goes around to being dorky again.
Like a Bond film from the late 60s. It's pure cheese.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, we saw her. She left Gridania. She put on merchant garb, went to the West Shore Pier, heading to East Shroud. And so now, thanks, dude. Thanks for fucking paying attention. Ridiculous. So now we go and we head to Sweet Bloom Pier and to meet back up with Ilberd. And when we land, Yugiri is there in the distance. She's like, over here. And she tells us that Rai has headed toward the Hawthorne Hut, very likely to meet with her Garlean masters. And we're having this little huddle. And Ilberd catches us up on some of the backstage activities with the Garland Ironworks. So Sid has built communication jammers for the frequency that the Garleans use.
Well, I think it's just for the Garlean devices. Yeah.
I think what I said was also valid.
Well, we don't have other frequencies because we use link pearls.
Well, yes, correct. That's correct.
Anyway.
Part of the creative license, okay? So they've built communication jammers and they're installed all over the various city estates so that the Garleans cannot, walkie-talkie their shit. They actually have to arrange meetings in person, and that's a lot easier for us to watch and look out for. So the Garleans know about them, and they've been trying to dismantle these things, and the shinobi are like, no. So the shinobi are like, they're doing all this work, really helping us out.
We keep on the trail, and we head down the road from the East Shroud entrance a bit and meet up with Yugiri again. She reports that our quarry has headed for the bramble patch. Ilberd helpfully says the ivy returns to the gnarls from whence she came.
Yeah, Ilberd could not let that opportunity slip by.
No.
To the bramble patch we go, we're like, she goes to a thing, we follow her there, we figure out where she's going next, we follow her there, and then we're just like keeping eyeballs on her like 40 to 50 feet away at all times. We're so dumb.
Well, everyone here is dumb too, because we also find a man so we catch up to her eventually deep in the bramble patch, and she's meeting with a man wearing, quote, adventurer garb, even though he's wearing like a Garlean like shoulder piece on top of it or something.
I think the colors there's like a little, it's red and silver, and so I can see how you could make the Garlean connection, but it is not Imperial wear at all. It's like the shit you get when you're doing Marauder at level 15, or Paladin probably. And at this point, I don't remember this from when I did it the first time. And the whole time I'm like, I feel like none of the stuff we're doing or thinking is backed up by real hard evidence. Like maybe she's going to meet with a sick relative, or she's organizing a surprise party, or some other kind of like not very nefarious situation. We're just basically assuming, we're assigning all of this meaning to stuff. We do not have really hard evidence. It's been, we've been narrowing it down and it makes sense, but still. So yeah, I'm like, it's starting to feel a little bit like we're creating the situation without direct evidence. So, but nevertheless, Ilberd is like, we strike now!
Yeah, so we find her and her contact who's wearing, quote, adventurer garb, and we rush in. Her contact swears and tries to book it, but Yugiri blocks his escape.
I was so relieved when he did that. I'm like, please don't let this be stupid. Because Ilberd, Yugiri, and us are like, we run up and we're like, ha-ha, we've caught you in the act. You are under arrest for treason. And I'm like, oh God. And then he turns to her and he's like, you are followed, you idiot. And I'm like, thank God. Okay.
Flame Marshal Rai also looks for an exit, but 3 shinobi drop down from the trees in quick succession. Like it's raining.
They're absolutely surrounded. The shinobi are badasses. They're looking at us, like fumbling this whole thing, probably. And Aline is like, oh, what? Can a woman like not go for a walk in the woods and then have a chat with a stranger? Like, what is up with you guys? And Ilberd's like, okay, bitch.
She does surrender. She has nothing to hide. She's let off with Ilberd and the Domans. We stay behind with Yugiri. She assures us that surrender does not bespeak innocence, but that her position is untenable.
Yeah, I got that too. Thank you, Yugiri. I mean,
in case you were wondering, Jen.
Yeah. She didn't say that because she's actually innocent. Like, I get it.
I was worried, but I'm now reassured.
And so now it's Yugiri's turn to jump on the freaking metaphor bandwagon, saying now that the ivy has been uprooted and the tendrils choking the company from within will now hopefully wither and die. Great. And Yugiri is... So I'm rocking ninja when I'm doing this whole thing. And, well, she asks, what are you going to do now? And we're like, okay, well, we tell her about the Ice Heart stuff, and we're going to go back and deal with that. And she's like, well, don't let me keep you. You know, don't waste your talents here. Speaking of talents, you have been training in the art of the shinobi, have you not? The change in your bearing is quite evident, to me at least. I look forward to seeing you in action. And I'm like, oh, she noticed. Hell yeah. Ninja and proud. I was like, hell, yay. Yay. Kiri's my girl.
She says, don't let me keep you. I dare say you are eager to pray return to the Rising Stones. And we are. So we depart, heading back to rendezvous with the gang, and we'll pick up there next time. So Jen, it's very frustrating that we can't talk about a lot of stuff yet because there are many secrets to uncover. Like, I'm surprised because we are getting to the end of this patch now. I think it's all Ice Heart stuff next time without more Ivy drama, which means that everything else that happens will happen in the next, 1.5 patches. Because you got patch 2.5 and 2.55, and we're done with A Realm Reborn, period. So all the stuff that you recall that happens between now and Heaven's Ward happens in those next two bits.
Oh my god, it's so much.
Yeah. So it's very hard to discuss things because I have so many thoughts about stuff here as presented, but for anyone who is actually playing through the MSQ and listening with us, don't want to disclose the next things to come. So we'll have to reserve our commentary for then. But that said, though, the writing in this bit feels especially rough, even for the Realm Reborn post game.
It feels, well, yeah, it just feels silly. The only context for the writers has been I just watched a lot of, mid-century spy flicks. This is how that shit goes down, and we're just going to put the Final Fantasy XIV skin on it, and it's going to look super legit.
Yeah, pretty much. It, like you were saying, our pretense for arresting Rai is next to non-existent. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So I think I'm valid in that. I wish I could have talked Ilbert into maybe not making such a hasty move, but he was convinced. And what are you going to do? He's the second in command. Also, it's very frustrating that this suspect did not exist until 5 minutes before her capture in terms of the player facing story. Right. There's no big reveal because we don't know who the fuck this person is. Yeah. I think we see her maybe one or two times. When we go with Ilbert to talk to Raban and they have that clandestine meeting in public in the Hall of Flames. She is there. But she means nothing. We don't know who the fuck she is. We don't know. She's just a random ass flame. Oh, she's second in command. Yeah. But we find that out today. So, but I mean, there's going to be plenty of coming up, so that's fine. But I wish it had been better set up. I know, but they've been doing this Ivy bit for so long. And honestly, the Ivy stuff is very cringeworthy with all of, every time they mention it, they have to just spew metaphors constantly. Have we seen any I mean, sure, she's been operating in the background for years now, but what has she done exactly? We don't know. This is all. It was all working up to one big thing. Maybe that was what we thwarted, but I'm she does not have a. This is 100% tell, not show, because we were told about the Ivy by Ilbert, and then about how all these tendrils are all throughout the Immortal Flames, and so on. At no point was he oh gosh, with that context, all of these fuck ups and leaks and empirical bullshit. Now that all of that makes sense. No, there was nothing. It's just the fact that she's there. They're oh well, now we have to deal with that. But it's not she's got some wake of destruction. Probably just being an inconvenience and stuff, but nothing really big has happened because of this. So it's very frustrating. Anyway, I mean, but now we're getting a flavor for how these different organizations are working together across the city-states, and maybe some of the inner machinations, the vulnerabilities, and that's all going to come into play very soon. Well, the Domans are getting a great time to shine. They're on top of it. All them cool ninja shits. I have nothing to say about the Domans. They're awesome.
And fortunately, and I don't know what this means for the design side of things, but like the ice art stuff has been very good.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that is a much better paced and much better told overall. So I don't know why Ivy is so rough while ice art feels so much more engrossing.
Let the Braves do some stuff.
Anyway, next time we'll be playing through the quest, Eyes Unclouded.
And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and being your rad selves. If you want to get in touch with us, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com, or check the show notes for our Discord. You can join up, meet some, like I said, rad-ass people, and you can join us for our group runs, organize group runs of your own, share photos of your pets. It's a whole thing, and it's super fun. And then we have our Patreon. It's patreon.com/podreturnffxiv. And for $1 a month, you get access to all of our bonus content, which is our Final Fantasy XI series, the Vana'diel Van Splainer. We have our seasonal episodes uploaded there, and other episodes about it, like miscellany, like the tabletop RPG. You can check that out there. And with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.